Welcome back to the Tasty Brains podcast with your host, Paulie Donuts, and special guest, ALYSSA DiSALVO. ALYSSA, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on. I know you have a very busy schedule. I do want to let you give a little intro, but talking about busy schedules, the thing I mustn't forget about is that I know Disney rolled out some crazy thing the other day or something. My wife's like, oh, they got this dining thing or something like that where some people think they're spending more money, but they're actually in the long run saving money, correct?
Yeah, it depends on how you look at it and when you booked a trip.
Okay.
And the way things configure, most people are saving money. Most people, and I can kind of talk about the promotions in a little bit. But yeah, there were two promotions that came out with Disney World specifically, and that was what day we were originally planned to do this on the 6th, and then
Yes.
we got word that these promotions were rolling out that day, and I was like, I think I need to reserve that day.
Did you see like a massive climb in business, like in people?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Well, first and foremost, as a travel agent, so that my intro is, I'm a travel agent by trade, but my specialty and probably 80% of my business are Disney families, Disney clients who go on Disney vacations. And so when we have these clients booked, part of our job is to watch out for these discounts and these promotions that come out, and they are our priority. So when they are released, of course, I want, to find families that I can help with new business, but I want to take care of the people who are booked with me first. So we spend a decent amount of time applying those promotions to the trips that we already have for families. And then in some situations, if the price is going to change, but they might benefit because of like a dining card or a gift card for them, then, those are conversations that have to be had, because I can't make that decision for them. Your trip might go up by $100, but you might get $600 in Disney dining credit. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, to me, it's a no-brainer, but I don't want to make that call for somebody. So yeah, that's a lot of what Thursday was. a lot of conversation. So
yeah, that's wild. I mean, I can only imagine. I mean, going to Disney now quite a few times because my wife is so super into Disney. I love Disney, but it's hard to. There's people that love Disney, and then there's people that love Disney, and those my wife falls into the love category, and I enjoy it. I'm happy that I do enjoy it because I could only imagine if it was like, hey, I want to go to Disney again, and then be like, we just went last 2 years ago. Why do we need? Nothing's changed, But but it does. It's amazing how much stuff does change, really, and it's so big. Especially Disney World, Disneyland. I'm not hating on Disneyland. I like that place too. There is just endless things to do, and it's nice to see that they keep coming out with new rides and new stuff to do. Like I know Epcot has they're doing the Moana thing, and they just came out with Guardians. Which funny story about Guardians. We went to Disney. My wife's gonna kill me. And it's funny, sometimes before I do an episode, she'll be like, so what are you going to talk about? Blah, blah. And I'm like, it's a very internal dialogue I have with myself before I talk to somebody. And she's going to think I was like hiding it from her. But so we get to the park. I'm like, oh, Guardians is open. Got to go on it. Can't wait. And she's like, yeah, it's great. I got us in the line and all blah, blah, blah. So boom, we go on the ride. And I've seen the videos on YouTube before it came out. And I'm like, oh, this ride looks nuts. And get on the ride. And I got my little 5-year-old daughter with me. And she's not little. She's big. She's tall. She's like 51 inches or something like that. So tall for a little 5-year-old. And my wife has some motion sickness things once in a while. But it's funny, you go on most rides and they have those posted everywhere. If you are pregnant, blah, 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 do not get on this ride. At Guardians, they have like a sign and it's like this big. And I'm like, well, this must not be that crazy as it looks in the video. So I see the things move and they're kind of move. The ride, have you been on this ride?
Oh, yeah. I've been on it like probably 6 times now.
Okay.
I love it, but I don't get motion sick. So.
What song did you get? What's your favorite song that you've gotten?
Gosh, I mean.
In September is like the song to get, right?
Yeah, and I have gotten that one, so I like that one. And then One Way or Another.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I've gotten that like 2 or 3 times, and I mean none of the songs are poor. So they did have holiday songs over like the.
Oh, that would have been cool.
that would have been cool, but alas, I did not get to ride it during that season.
So yeah, I see the cart come up, and we're standing there about to get on. And I'm like, wow, that moves kind of quick and not like a roller coaster. It's super smooth, whatever technology they're using.
Yes.
And I know the cart spins around, so I know all that. I'm like, okay, cool. And we hop on. I got my daughter next to me. My wife's right behind me. She's just by herself. And, you go up this thing and they shoot you through, and then they like, we need to go back. And, when it does that thing and it shoots us back.
Yes.
And as we're climbing up, I kind of go, I don't know right now. Like, I'm feeling great, but I'm like, this might be bad news here in about 5 seconds. Sure enough, they do we need to go back, and it's Gloria Estefan. And I have now PTSD from that song, and so does my wife, because it shoots us backwards, and my daughter starts screaming loud. Oh my God. Like louder than anything. So I'm holding her the whole ride, looking down. I'm like, it's okay, baby. It's going to be fine. I look back over my shoulder. My wife's eyes are completely closed. And it is just like full meltdown on this ride. Meanwhile, I'm just listening to Gloria Estefan. And then we keep going. And I'm like, oh, please end this ride. I need the ride to end. So we get off the ride. And I'm not kidding you. My wife is whiter than the wall behind you.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
messaged me shortly after she got off and was just like, yeah, about that right.
So we're going back, I'm sure soon. And, she's like, I really want to try it. And I'm like, not allowed. It's off limits.
The kibosh on that one for you.
But I will say that is by far my favorite ride I've been on at any park anywhere.
It's something, I'll tell. I mean, like you mentioned how smooth it is, but then just the way that the vehicle rotates all around, and like
crazy
visually what they're doing with it, it's a very cool, like I've never been on anything like that before. I love roller coasters, but I feel like this takes it to a different level. Like it's not just a roller coaster.
Yeah, they keep advancing. Like I'm sure because you're like my Disney expert. That Tron's coming out soon. I mean, that's almost ready.
Yeah.
And that looks next level to me. I've seen the China, right? It's in China, or
it is. I can't
There's
remember.
Disney in China, right?
It's Tokyo and
Tokyo, Paris.
Yeah, no, there's.
I think there's one in China, right?
I think maybe Shanghai. Yeah,
Shanghai. Yep.
I was trying to
Have
remember
you been to any of the abroad Disneys?
Oh, I mean, it's on my bucket list. I have to travel abroad first. I mean, I have been to Europe, but I've never. That was before I had kids, and
of course.
I need them to be a little bit older. Well, I guess we could take them with us, but taking like extended trips like that is a little bit of a challenge when you have 2 kids under 10. So
100%.
I would love to go. And I have several agent friends who have been to Paris, and they like absolutely rave about Paris. I don't know anybody who has been to any of the Asian ones though.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that those are spectacular too. I've seen video footage of some of the rides, and it looks awesome. I mean, Disney doesn't do anything poor. That's the thing. Like everything that they do is really done spectacularly. Like they know what they're doing, and they know how to create a really excellent experience. So that's I have full confidence. Whenever I do go, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's funny. I get a lot of people. We're getting ready to go on a cruise, and a Disney cruise, and I get a lot of people that are like, I get a lot of people that go, "Oh, really? Are they nice? What can adults do?" And I'm like, if you have a kid, I mean, we've been on there with my daughter when she was super young,
yeah,
and there is still plenty to do, but you can't just. They have this like Imaginarium room thing for the kids. Like if they're 5, 4 and above, man, you can like they don't want to leave that place, and and the parents, it's like, okay, you can go do whatever you want. I mean, and I've been on Carnival and Royal Caribbean. Carnival's more like a party cruise, and.
We enjoyed it a lot, and my kids enjoyed it a lot, but it's very different than a Disney cruise. There's no question.
Yeah, it's like Disney, just like you said, they don't mess around. Everything is to the max. It might be a little more pricey, which is what you're paying the dollar for, but it's still awesome. And I always tell people, if you have kids, do not go on any other cruise line. Save up a few more bucks. Like if you're already thinking of going on a cruise and you have kids, it's already going to cost you money for sure. Yes. You know, you might as well just go on Disney. And you do cruises as well, right?
Yeah, I do quite a bit of cruises, especially in the past like 6 months. I would say that like the cruise business that I have,
Finally.
yeah, finally has blown up. And especially when they took some of the health policies off, and weren't having the same requirements. That's really when we saw an influx and an uptick. And my husband, it's interesting to hear you talk about Disney cruises. I talk to a lot of moms typically about their family trips and stuff, but it's awesome to hear like the male perspective and like the dad perspective and how much you enjoy it. Because my husband, who he likes Disney trips, he's not the fanatic about Disney like I am. And he enjoys going. He does enjoy the parks, but he's basically told me, Alyssa, I'll go on a Disney World trip with you or Disney Parks trip with you once a year. And I've got plenty of people I can go with. Like that is
Right.
not the issue. But then when we took him on, when we got him on a Disney cruise, I mean, he is obsessed with it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he will go on a Disney cruise anytime I want him to now because he fell in love with it. It's great. And so hearing you talk about it, I'm like, yeah, like dads, guys, like they will love it. Even if they're like naysayers when it comes to the Disney parks, there's just something about cruising that's so relaxing. Everything is taken care of for you.
No lines.
No lines. The food is top notch. Drinks are top notch. Like the entertainment, I mean, it's just everything about the trip is perfect. So, from my experience.
And so since we totally skipped over it, let's give everybody a quick little background now that people know that you're like my Disney expert. Other than that, what is it that you do, and just a little bio.
Yeah, so I actually was a high school English teacher for 14 years, and then everything with COVID happened, and I was reevaluating what I wanted to do with my career, and just had known at that point I didn't want to be in the classroom anymore. And at the point, I was also planning a family trip for my own family, and we were not able to go because it was planned for May 2020. And so all during COVID, I was like, yeah, but that happened to so many families. Like
for sure.
That's not an unusual experience, but all during COVID, I still continued to plan and like knew as soon as I could get there, I'm going to get there. I'm going to get my family there, make this happen. And it sort of became my outlet, like where I would go and research and read on all the Disney things that we were going to do when we could get there. And I loved it. And so my travel agent at the time, who is still with the travel agency now that I work with, she's a friend of mine. That's
awesome.
Yeah, she was just like, one day she's like, man, you know a lot about Disney. She's like, you know way more about Disney than the average person that I work with.
Right.
And I'm also all about like budgeting and saving for Disney. And so she was at the time running a Facebook group that's called Smart Moms. My travel agency is called Smart Moms Travel Agency. And so it was called Smart Moms Trying to Afford Disney. And so she was looking for somebody to help her with her Facebook group. And she's like, I don't know if you'd ever think about this. Would you ever consider like becoming a travel agent so that you can help me in this Facebook group? And I was like, you know what? I'm not really doing a whole lot right now besides sitting home with my family.
Sure.
And I was freelance writing a little bit too, but I had time on my hands. And so I picked up the travel agent business, and there's an application and there's training that's involved in all of that. But I kind of went into it thinking, all right, well, if I just do this on the side for my family and my friends, and I run this Facebook group with Chelsea, that'll be fun. Like it'll just be something that I do on the side. And
I can go to Disney.
Exactly. I can go to Disney, and my travel agency is great because once you hit a certain point, you get certain discounts at Disney. So like that was my goal. Like
that's awesome.
I'm going to hit this threshold so that I can get the discounts and I can just go to Disney more often.
Wow.
And then I just ended up being really good at working with families, like enjoying it. And I enjoyed it more than sort of the burnout that I had experienced when I was teaching.
Sure.
It freed up a whole lot more time for my family, for me to be with my kids. And I could travel more. Like, oh my goodness, we have traveled so much now in the past 2 years that I've been doing this business than I ever could as a teacher. And so, yeah, what turned out is, something like, sure, I'll give it a try. Let's see if I make a couple $100s a month,
it just blew up.
Yeah, a full-time job. And it's been a blessing. It's been amazing. And yeah.
You're still on Facebook?
I am still on Facebook. Yeah. So I am not nearly on, I am on Facebook. I'm not nearly on Facebook as much as I am on Instagram now.
Right.
But yeah, my origin was on Facebook for sure.
Okay.
And so now on Instagram, yep, there I am dishing on Disney.
That's you, yep.
That's my primary market to find families who need some help, who need support getting to Disney.
Oh, wow. Okay. And when you started on Instagram, because I told you before the show, I definitely, think the way you've grown your social media, I mean, you were on Facebook and never on Instagram, or just Instagram for family?
Oh my goodness. I think my following, because I was not huge into social media before I started this business. And I think my following on Instagram might have been like 50 people. It was mainly like, let me just post pictures from my family of my kids on like the holidays and special events and stuff like that. Like I really didn't jump on Instagram all that much.
And what are you at now?
I think I am just under 13,000. So
that's amazing to me.
Yeah, it's been a cool experience to see and to connect with so many other people who have similar interests as me. Because it's more than just the clients who book trips. Like that's great when people find me and they want to work with me as their travel agent. But then there's just a lot of people who are so supportive and enjoy the content that I post and the tips that I post. And yeah, I mean, I think that's how you guys all found me in the first place too.
For sure.
Well, before you wanted to use a travel agent. So
yeah, and that's so like that story of I think a lot of it for a lot of people happened in 2020. Obviously, being stuck at home, all these things, and they were finding the side hustle. And some side hustles for people have gone away. My side hustle turned into a business for my cards, like I was telling you, and that all kind of came around the same time as you did. And now that I'm finally on Instagram for my podcast, when I was talking to my wife about you, I was looking through your stuff and I'm like, wow, this lady knows Instagram, especially like the reels and the stories and all that stuff. Was there a moment where you kind of felt you had a knack for it? Where you just like, oh,
yeah. I mean, I think when I first started, I just thought to myself, I want to post content that I would want to watch. Like if I was a person on the other side, like what would I like? Obviously I'd want to be looking at Disney, because if I'm looking at a Disney account, then there has to be some kind of Disney aspects. But more than that, people watch your content for the person that you are. And so I wanted it to be an authentic account as to who I actually am in real life. I didn't want to just on this like facade. And yeah. And
a lot of that on Instagram from what I've picked up.
Yeah, it can be that way. It can be. But then there's a lot of people who are not that way,
For sure.
And they're inspiring and have more purpose there than just like trying to pretend to like live this like ideal life.
Perfect.
Right, exactly. That might not be true. But I think the key to it is like consistency, like really coming up with like goals for like how frequently you want to post and what you want to post, and then sticking to that consistency. And I think that's initially like in the first year that I was growing the account, it was slow at first. I mean, it wasn't like I jumped from 50 to 1,000 to like 10,000 like that quickly. I think I didn't hit 10,000 until I want to say like May of this year. So it was like, and I wish I tracked this. I should have tracked it to see like what was I at 6 months? What was I at? But yeah, reels were a big part of it, and getting in front of the camera. And I've never been like shy about being in front of the camera. So I think that's an obstacle and that's a hurdle for some people who are on social media. So that never like scared me. And I was never really worried about making a fool of myself or anything like that. Like I post stuff that's ridiculous sometimes. And if people think I'm ridiculous, then they don't have to follow me. That's fine.
And that's such a great way to look at it. I don't mean to interrupt you, but a lot of people do get in. It's so easy to get in your head when it comes to especially social media, the way it just is, and life and whatnot. And you're like, oh, well, I look weird here, or I said a weird thing. And it's like, well, if you're just being you, and other people like you, maybe some other people will like you.
Sure.
And just kind of just do it. And I've had to kind of get out of my own head and just do it, kind of thing. Just like this,
And the more you do it, the better you get at it, and the more comfortable you feel. It's just like, taking those first steps and then just building off of that. So, I think that was it. And as far as like having a knack for it, I mean, it's hard to define that because, it's just me getting on there and talking about my life, and and people responding to that. So that has been awesome to even like see and hear that people are interested in what I have to say. Like that was unexpected. Especially when I post about stuff that's not Disney, people are interested to hear that now, and I'm like, like they're just interested in who we are, my family and what we do.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how it all, I think for most social media accounts, or even just podcasting and anything you're kind of doing, if you start with a little thing and then it starts to grow and people want to know, well, who is this person I've been you know, learning about Disney from all the time. What else does she have to offer? I'm sure there's other things that she knows.
Right.
And then you kind of surprise yourself with being consistent, which by far any business person I've talked to, even if they're not a business person, like you're not like I'm going to the office today and I'm trying to become the CEO of blah blah blah. You're still a business person, and the number one thing I've come across is being consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it goes with anything that anybody does, whether it's working out, diet, trying to plan a trip even, and being consistent at saving for that trip.
Yes, that's a great point.
Because let's face it, Disney ain't cheap. I wish it was. I'm sure you do too. Do you, I guess, how do I want to word this? What do you feel like for people that have never been to Disney and they kind of look at it like, I'm never going to be able to go, blah blah blah. Now there are levels to that. There are people that are never going to be able to go because, you know, life is extremely hard and Disney's on the very, very bottom of any list.
Right.
And then there's like people that could go, but they still think it's just way too much money and this and that. They'd rather just go to Six Flags or SeaWorld, which, hey, nothing wrong with that. Great time and fun. But Disney is Disney. And if you got kids, I'm gonna guess there are very few children out there that haven't seen a Disney movie that they didn't like, or there are movies that they probably don't like, but there's definitely movies that they love, and I'm gonna guess that outweighs that, and they would love to see those in live HD. You know, what do you do as a travel planner? Which to all the people that are hating on travel planners out there. They're not out there to rip you off. There are bad actors in every form of business, but it can be really helpful, especially if you're on a budget, to reach out to someone like you.
Yeah.
What do you say to those? You know, how would you help? How do you help those people?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important first to state that the majority of travel agents and travel planners don't have any added fees. And so I do think that there's this like stigma that using somebody's help is going to be expensive. And there are some travel agencies that do charge money for their services. But like I said, the vast majority, mine included, but not just ours, like many travel agencies don't charge any upcharge because Disney or whatever vendor, you know, travel vendor that we're working with, they pay us directly when the client travels through us. So first and foremost, to get most help, there's no added expense. So for the people who are on a very tight budget, one of the key pieces that I think when I work with somebody who has a very tight budget is really trying to figure out the best time that they can go so that it can fit in their budget. Because Disney, as you probably know, Disney's pricing fluctuates so dramatically from January through December.
Of course.
And there are high peak seasons where it is going to be very expensive. Like even to stay at their least expensive resort, if you go during Christmas season, like
forget about it.
Yeah, it's going to be a heavy chunk of change. But then there's other seasons where it's not going to be that crowded because it's not nearly as desirable during these certain seasons, where Disney makes it very, very appealing cost-wise to visit during those periods. And so I'll use like a case example using some of the promotions actually that just came out, because when they have these low seasons, not only are their rates already low, but then they add incentives on top of it to try to fill those rooms, because it's in their best interest to have, you know, full hotels.
Oh yeah.
Full parks. And when they see that that's not the case, then they're going to make it interesting for guests to go. And so one of the least expensive times that people can visit is surprisingly during the summer. A lot of people actually are surprised by that because, you know, kids are off from school and it's very easy to take your kids on vacations during the summer. But because it's so hot in Orlando, a lot of people avoid going. And it is hot in Orlando. Like I am never going to tell you it's not. Like it is going to be a hot trip.
Super.
But the priority, we always talk, like I always say it, like, what is your priority? Is your priority going to be saving money, or is it going to be going during a season where it's not so hot? Because you have to make a decision in some cases.
Right.
So if you were to go in August or early September, as an example, rates are very, very low, very low to begin with. And I'm talking like in their value category. And when I say value category at Disney, none of the resorts are poor. They're still going to be an exceptional experience with very comfortable accommodations. And so even the least expensive option at Disney is still going to be a very, very nice hotel stay. if you go during an off season, then you can expect that that's going to be maybe $150, I think, per night for a studio that can fit 4 people. And I don't
4 people.
Yeah, for 4 people. Yeah.
That's
And
good.
like you're going to do 5 people. There's certain like resorts that you would need to like bump up to that can fit that, or
Of course.
room category. So that's going to be a little bit more expensive. But again, talking about like the average family of 4 or less, that's going to be about $150 at one of the Disney value resorts. Now, if you add in the promotions that then come out, which again, that's why it was so exciting last week, is because they really made some really good promotions. They gave us 2 that are running at different time periods and dates. One of them was up to 25% off your resort stay. And then also a dining promotion where, depending on how many nights you're staying at the resort, they're going to give you like a gift card with dining credit on it. And if you look at it like, okay, well, if I have $300 to use towards dining while I'm on my trip, then I'm going to deduct that from my grand total budget.
Of course.
And so that's how you make it affordable. You think about like the best time to visit where Disney is going to make it worth your while. And then you plan for it. I mean, a lot of families plan for over a year. Very, very few families.
Easily. Yeah.
Yes, very few families that I work with are planning it 6 months or less.
Right.
And when you have that type of time, you mentioned this before, you have time to then set aside a little bit of your paycheck or a little bit of your income every single month that will go towards that. And then, there is also something to be said too. Like if you think about your daily life, everybody budgets for different things in their life, whether that's like a Starbucks cup of coffee in the morning, whether it is, going to a concert, once like a year or something like that. So you just think to yourself,
how bad do you want it?
how bad do you want it? And again, the priority is my priority this year to get my kids to Disney, or do I want to go out to like a restaurant like 3 times a month?
Right.
Can I cut back on that restaurant once a month and then save that like $100-something. So it just comes down to that. So time of year, looking for the promotions or working with somebody who will watch for the promotions for you, and then budgeting and setting aside that money to save. So for people who are tight on that, like that, those are the best tips that I have.
Yeah. And if somebody wanted to, not that we're ending right now, but how would somebody get in contact with you? Just reach out to you on Instagram, be like, hey, at Dishing on Disney, I saw the podcast, listen to the podcast. I want to go to Disney.
Yeah, certainly they could message me on Instagram. In my profile on Instagram as well, there's a link that you can click on, and then there's basically a connect form. You just fill out that form, and then I would be in touch with them. Or my email address. I can give you my email address if that's helpful. But my email address, the best one to reach me at. So my travel agency again is Smart Mom's Travel Agency. So my email is smartmomalyssa@gmail.com. Sometimes I think people think it's a weird email address, but it's just kind of playing off of my agency. So
smartmomalyssa@gmail.com.
Yep, that's it.
Sweet. I'm gonna put that one up.
Thank you. Oh, there it is. It's like magic.
I know. I'm see, Disney magic. Almost the same. Did you see any? This is totally outside of the realm of what we were just talking about. But did you see any difference when the CEO changed back to Bob Iger?
Yeah, I mean, as far as morale goes, or as far as my business uptake,
everything.
I did not see I did not see more families wanting to go, because I think families who want to go don't really care about the CEO. I don't even know if necessarily a lot of people are looped into that piece of it, unless you're really a diehard Disney fan.
Of course.
But morale, as far as people who are in the know with Disney, were very, very happy and very excited.
Wow.
I mean, everybody in the Instagram community was blowing up about it. My travel agency, lots of us were very excited about it. And here's the reason why is we expect that there are going to be a lot of positive changes that are going to make the guest experience better. So that's what I'm all about. I want to see my families have the best experience possible.
100%.
So now the CEO that is back in place again, that just seemed to be more important to him than the last. So we're just expecting, good things for the next year. I'll just put it that way. And I think these promotions are a start. Like, I think seeing these promotions come out is one example of how they're kind of hopefully going back to that. So.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I remember when it happened, and I was kind of saying to myself, oh, that's quite a crazy change to get rid of not get rid, the one guy leaves, and then this new guy comes in, and they're like, yeah, not so much, bye, and bring the old guy back.
And it was overnight. I mean,
yeah.
Warning, it was like, you are fired.
Yeah. And my wife she goes, yeah, they brought Bob Iger back, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. And sure, I mean, for me, as far as you know, I love Disney for a lot of things. I especially love Epcot because I like to drink beer and stuff like that, and it's a great place to do all that. Especially Food and Wine Week. So if anybody's planning on going to Disney, and for the men out there that are listening,
July to November.
if your wife is starting to, mumble some Disney stuff to you, be like, yeah, we should probably go to Epcot in like July, maybe, I promise you won't be upset, other than the lines. The lines are the only thing that are going to get you, Disney's got to figure out some magical thing for lines. I'm sure it's going to be like Meta or some Facebook thing where you're just going to put on a headset and you're going to be at Disney and they'll be like, okay, well, you can pay for this. You won't be on any lines, but you won't be at Disney. You'll just be,
won't actually be on the ride. That would be
exactly.
actually.
I'm sure that's coming down the pipe for sure.
Yeah, I mean the lines can be a little. They can be outrageous again, especially if you're going during like Christmas season or spring break or something like that.
It's amazing to me.
You can't plug like July and August and early September more because that's when you're going to see like a reduction in that. So
it's so funny because that's it, just like you said, it's the summertime, everyone's off, and then I started thinking to myself, well, yeah, but it's because it's summer. Families are like, well, we have so many more options. Like we don't need to just go to Disney. We can go to Europe or
or take beach trips. A lot of families take beach trips. So, but that's a good point. They're like, oh, we don't have to confine it to like 1 week. We could take 2 or 3 weeks to go somewhere else. Yeah, that's a very good point. So,
were you into Disney when you were a teacher?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been into Disney my whole life. So my grandparents, they lived about 2 hours away from Orlando. So every year we would take a trip to go see my grandparents. I grew up in New Jersey, by the way.
Okay, so Jersey on the shore.
Yeah, no, not the shore. I'm from northern New Jersey, like pretty close to New York City.
So you don't know Pauly D and all those people?
Only from when I was in college and like watching. and then people always asking me, hey,
I'm sure. They think New Jersey's like this small, like yes. Abilene, Texas. A population of like 1,000 people. It's like it's a big city out there.
Yep. But yeah, we would take a trip every year, and my mom, who is like the OG Disney lover in my family. My dad is a typical dad. He didn't really like Disney. In fact, he really didn't come on the park trips with us very frequently at all. But my mom loved it, and she still does love it. She would take us to Universal or Disney or SeaWorld or whatever every time. I mean, every trip. So we would go there at least once a year to Orlando. Typically, it was Disney. And so just became like totally acclimated with all of it growing up and like fell in love with all of it. Seeing my mom, like that just carried over to me. And then having my own children now and getting to experience like what she got to experience with my sister and me when we were little. So yeah, it's been like ingrained in my blood probably from when I was really, really little. And then, in college, I did like the typical college trips and all of that. I never one of my big regrets is not doing the college program. I wish I had done that because it looks amazing and it looks like so much fun. So
is it a college program to work for Disney kind of thing?
Yeah, basically you're almost like doing an internship at Disney.
Oh, wow.
Most of them are 6 months long. But yeah,
that's pretty badass.
Yeah. I mean, not to say that like all of the students who are doing it are like doing awesome things. Like I think I did talk to one once and she's like, yeah, it's kind of luck of the draw. She's like, I got stuck doing
popcorn.
No, even worse. I think she said she got stuck doing the cashiers at All Star Music. Like it wasn't even in the park. It was at one of the resorts. And she's like, meanwhile, my roommate is following, Minnie Mouse around in Magic Kingdom and like basically is like her like assistant. Like anytime somebody needs like a pen cap taken off or whatever is needed, she's like Minnie Mouse's accomplice.
Wow.
So that was far more exciting and fun, I think.
Of course. When you were growing up, who was your favorite character?
Growing up, probably Ariel.
And did it change now?
I love Rapunzel. Probably one of my favorite movies is Encanto, though. I don't know if I necessarily think like any of those characters are my favorite, but I love Encanto. So that's one of my favorite movies. And like Rapunzel is probably up there. And I still love, Little Mermaid because it's just nostalgic to me now. So
do you get emotional with any characters or anything?
I got emotional watching Little Mermaid for the first time with my daughter. Like,
wow.
surprisingly, I was like, well, I think my daughter's finally old enough. I think she was like 2 or something, where I was like, I think she'll follow along. And so we sat down and, I'm cuddling her on the couch, and like the music starts to play and I'm beginning to get like all teary.
Right.
I'm like, this is wild. And like that's what I mean as far as being a mom now and seeing Disney through my kids' eyes.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. And then when we like were walking into Magic Kingdom for the first time with my kids, like that also was super emotional for me. You just have those moments, or seeing my kids hug a character again after COVID, after so long.
Oh my gosh, crazy.
And my littlest Faith, she had never hugged a character ever. So when she was hugging one like last year, I was like, or not, in 2022, when she was able to finally in September, I was like going to lose it. So it was very sweet.
Yeah, well, my kid, when my daughter was growing, when my daughter was growing up, it was big Moana all over the place. I was deployed for a good chunk when she was growing up, but my wife would send me videos and stuff. So I finally I came back from deployment. She had no idea who I was. She kind of was like, who is this tall person? And she finally started to realize, oh, that's my Poppy, blah, blah, blah. And so we were like watching Moana for the first couple times, and I was emotional. And then we'll watch some movies, and Coco was kind of big for a little while in the house. And then just recently, Disney dropped that Hollywood Bowl Encanto thing, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, they did a great job.
That Lin-Manuel Miranda guy, whatever people socially feel about that guy, that dude rocks it. He is a musical genius. I have sent him numerous direct messages to please come on my show, but I'm just a little lonely podcast here. And one day, though,
goals.
you got to shoot your shot. You got to be consistent. And that
is a line from Hamilton.
It is. That's right. And
nice
that's and we're sitting there. I'm doing something with dinner, and my daughter's eating at the dinner table at our little breakfast table, watching. We got it on. She's watching it, and I look over, and I see her crying while she's the song dun 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 dun. And I do not want to sing. And literally I look over and I'm like, babe, she's like crying. And she goes over there and gives her a hug, and she's like, why are you crying? And she's like, it's so beautiful, and I was like, so I start, and I'm a major crier. So I'm trying to not cry right now thinking about it. So I'm doing my best.
You're doing great.
And to watch your kid cry like that, it's so crazy.
I know. Those paternal and maternal instincts are strong, especially when you're a good dad and a good mom and you like pour your heart into your kids. So to see them experience something beautiful is emotional. It's okay.
It is. That raw thing is really, it's so hard to come by when you get older, even if you're like a guy like me that cries all the time. Too much estrogen in my house, probably.
You are surrounded.
Girl, dog, wife, daughter, I'm all messed up. No, it's great. What
was one of the best moments that you had with her in Disney then? If you had to pick like a single one, is there one that stands out the most?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
I was like, that's it right there, right?
Actually, she loves Slinky Dog. And she loves roller coasters. That's what, honestly, I thought Guardians was going to be great. It's just too damn dark in there. But she loves Slinky Dog, and the first roller coaster ride I went on with her was Slinky Dog, and I got a video of her just screaming all happiness, and to see you see that look of genuine people are happy, so people are like, yeah, I'm having a great day. It's like, but are you having a great day as like a 5-year-old at Disney World?
Yeah.
Because that's
next level.
Excuse my language, is a fucking great day. So
yeah, it's next
that's and so hard to come by. So I get people sometimes that are like, Disney's okay, it's whatever, and I'm like, but have you been? I mean, you don't have kids, so I got it. It's, once you get older, it's nostalgic for certain things. Like I can still remember me crying when I have a picture, an old Polaroid picture of me with my grandparents, because it's funny that you brought up your grandparents taking you to Disney. My grandparents took me and my mom and dad. We were pretty poor growing up, and my grandparents My mom and dad, my mom especially worked hard as hell to, provide the best she possibly could. And my grandparents took us to Disneyland, and I remember seeing Pinocchio for the first time, and I like hugged Pinocchio and wouldn't let go.
Oh.
And just when they wanted to pull me away, I was freaking out. I was having like a stage 12, child meltdown, don't let go. I can't let go. So I have a picture. It's like a Polaroid of Pinocchio in the back, and I'm like crying. I should have dug it up. It would have been good for
Like
this.
you
But
love that movie? Is that why? Or are you just like,
no, I don't know. It was just something about maybe the character or whatever. I had more of an affliction towards ET. Every time I watched ET, I was highly triggered by ET for some reason. Every time he phone home thing happened.
yeah,
And that scene when he's like in like about to die kind of thing, like they're doing the fake death deal and they're really tugging at the 5-year-old's heartstrings, like it used to crush me every time. Like, oh my God, ET's gonna die, all those kind of things.
did you go on the ET ride at
I
ET?
have. I've definitely been on that ride. Yeah,
You're
great.
there?
That's a cool ride. No, I'm pretty good. I say I cry a lot, but it takes like emotional moments that really trigger me, And man, I can't believe that's the first time I almost cried on the podcast. Thanks a lot. And this is your first podcast, right?
Yeah, I've never done a podcast. I mean, I was saying to you before we got on, I was like, I don't really know what to expect, but hey, here we go.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
No, like you said, just having a conversation about things you enjoy. So,
Do you when are you going back again? You don't need to give me exact dates, but when's the next trip?
yeah, next trip. So this is actually the longest stretch I've had in 2 years where I have not been back. But my next one, we are actually going to Disney's Hilton Head Resort. Many people don't know this, but they have a Hilton Head Resort. So we are heading to Disney's Hilton Head Resort in mid-March, and then March 31st is when I'm heading back to Disney World.
Okay. Where's Hilton Head at?
Here in South Carolina. So I'm from Charleston. And
Okay.
So 2-hour drive from here. So they have a Hilton Head Resort. They also have a Vero Beach Resort, which is in Florida. So they have these beach resorts that very few people know about. And they're great. They're very relaxing, but still very, very Disney.
Is there rides?
No rides. It's just like you walk into the like hotel rooms and it feels Disney. Like if you've ever stayed at a hotel, by Disney before, it feels that way.
Of course.
All of the staff are called cast members, and you can expect the exact same kind of guest service and all of the little Disney details and touches. So we've been to the Hilton Head Resort before. You can get Dole Whips, you can get Mickey waffles.
Okay.
The pool has like all hidden Mickeys, and so it's a lot of Disney touches without it being like in your face Disney.
Full blown.
Yes,
exactly.
exactly.
And good for the men out there.
Yeah.
It's almost like a cruise.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. It's way more relaxing. I'll put it that way. Not as much running around and riding anything. So
and you do this full time, right?
do. Yeah, I do it now full time. I mean, that wasn't always the case when I first started. Like I said, it was like a small enterprise, and then it's grown to be a whole lot more. I have a fantastic assistant who helps me too. Her name's Courtney. So
dang, you got an assistant?
I have an assistant who helps me.
You're making big time when you're.
Yeah, I mean, just because, the more clients that you build, you don't want your service to your clients to fall off. And so she is super, super knowledgeable. I trust her completely to handle and answer questions. Like she's a Disney fanatic too. So anything anybody asks planning wise, like she can talk to them about any resort, any restaurant. She can talk to them about like park strategy and itineraries. So she can handle any of that stuff. And then she also knows how to help me. Like if a promotion comes out, she'll help me apply the promotion. So if I have, 30 people or 30 families that I need to apply promotions for, then we're tackling it together. So she's fantastic. So shout out to Courtney.
What's the most traveling bookings you've had to do in a year? Do you have any idea? I'm guessing right after COVID must have been crazy. Like as soon as COVID, it was done and they were like, Disney's open.
So I joined the agency. Really, I was like active and like fully trained and certified January of 2021. So it was like exactly 2 years ago. And Disney had been open already I'm trying to remember when it opened in 2020. I mean, they had like limited capacity when they first opened. I want to say it was like it was in the summertime, I think, if I'm remembering.
Okay.
So I wasn't actually a travel agent at that point. It was about 6 months later that I became a travel agent. So I don't know what the agents at my agency experienced as soon as it was available to book again. But there were a lot of people who had just pushed their trips out. So I think that they were probably handling people who were just postponing and like then choosing the right dates.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think there was also a lot of fear that was still surrounding it. So a lot of people probably were cautious about wanting to take a trip to a theme park, you know, based off of health parameters and all of that. I would say like it really began like the busiest it felt was when they finally took the face mask mandate off. That's when a lot of people were excited about heading back because, you know, a lot of people don't like wearing face masks, especially in like Orlando heat. Like that's annoying.
Oh yeah, this is a game changer.
Yep, for sure. But I want to say, like, I don't know the exact number, but I do know it was over 150 travelers last year.
Wow.
But that's not just the park. So that was Disney cruises,
Sure.
and I book other cruises as well. So it was other cruises. It was Universal. I do a decent bit of Universal. You know, people who are pairing Disney with Universal or just doing a Universal trip.
Yeah, Universal's getting ready to come out with. They're doing the Super Mario's, right?
In California. So
California.
So that's coming really soon. And then I've heard that Orlando is ballparking that they're going to have something similar. I think by 2025. So we got some time in Orlando. That'll be pretty cool. I mean, none of my family, I've got 2 little girls. They're not super into Super Mario, but they probably enjoy it. And I'm like,
have you watched the videos? The one in Asia?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's
insane.
Cool. Yeah.
Insane. I mean, we were thinking about trying to go there because I was like, oh, I need to check this out. And then she goes, well, Super Mario is going to be open in California in like 6 months or something like that. And I'm
all that far.
So. I'm like, what the hell? I didn't even know it was going down. We went to the California. It kind of gets a bad rap in my mind because it's so much smaller.
Yeah.
Disneyland.
Disneyland, right. Mm-hmm.
But if you have the ability to stay at the resort that's right there, I can't remember what it's called.
They are all right there. Like they're all walking distance, but the one that is like literally
attached
spitting distance, is the Grand Californian. That's the one that has like an entrance that literally goes right into the park.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
I could not, because we've stayed at, different, Polynesian, Pop and other places like that. And it's nice. It's anyone that goes to Disney, if you have the ability to stay on the property there, I would say, and you can afford the little extra.
Yeah.
I would definitely do it. It saves you so much time, and it's kind of keeps you in Disney mode without being like, all right, got to get in the car, got to get the parking and this and that. Riding in the gondola thing or whatever they call. What are they called? Skyliner gondolas.
It is a gondola. That is
yeah. I'm in Italy all of a sudden. But being at, I didn't expect that at Disneyland, and my wife goes, yeah, okay, we're gonna go to the park, and I go, okay, where's the thing? We got to get a taxi or something. And she goes, no, we're just like, here's the hotel, and you walk out that door, and you're in Disneyland. I'm like,
super close.
That is nuts.
So the only thing about Disneyland that makes it tricky is that they only have 3 resorts. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't.
That's 3, so it's so much less than Disney World. Disney World has like over 25. I mean, it's
crazy.
So it's if you're doing on site, you're only choosing from 3 resorts, and they all are pretty expensive. Like if I'm being honest, they all are pretty expensive. The beautiful thing though about Disneyland is that because it's right in the heart of Anaheim, like you can literally stay across the street from Disneyland at another hotel, like a Good Neighbor. They call them Good Neighbor hotels, and you'll save a bundle of money. So so anybody, and I say that just because like if anybody's interested in Disneyland and you're looking at the on-site hotels and you're like, I can't afford that. Like it's so much different than Disney World in that you have so many other options that are called Good Neighbor hotels. So just don't rule out Disneyland thinking that the resorts are totally out of your ballpark because there's a lot of other options.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, whereas at Disney World, like because they have 25 resorts, it goes anywhere from like $150 a night up to $1,000 a night. So you have like this huge range.
Wow. And
at Disneyland, it's very different. I feel like the least expensive that you're going to see at Disneyland for the 3 hotels, it's going to be like $300 a night up to like $1,000 a night. So you don't have the same like $150 option. Yeah,
that's typical, I guess, Hollywood / California, small space,
true.
All that.
The location goes. That's a good point. It is different than Florida in that sense.
And it's cool. You can just walk across the way there and you're at California Adventure or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's called. Disney's California Adventure Park.
It's like a hybrid of Epcot and Universal. It's like
I
they
loved
had a
it.
baby.
Yep, I loved it. I mean, I have to tell you, Disney World has my heart. It will always be
Hmm.
my favorite, and Epcot will always be my favorite. But I loved that park. I mean,
Why is Epcot your favorite?
I love like the multi. I mean, I love drinking and eating around the world too. Like, don't get me wrong, like that is so much fun, and
It is.
all the festivals that they have. So like, you could eat and drink around the world in like May, but then if you go back in July, it's going to be a very different experience because of the festivals that they run. And then if you go back in like December, it's going to be very different because of the holiday festival. So they're always changing things up there. But I just love the multicultural like aspect of the World Showcase because it's unlike anything I think
Yeah.
you'll find anywhere else. Like no other theme park does something like that where, and I don't know
And
if
does
they're
it well. You
does it
know?
work? That's a great point. I know before COVID, they had all of the cast members that were in a certain like country were originally from, like were natives of that
Correct.
country. And so I think that they're trying to get back to that point where, the cast members are still representations of that country. I don't know if they're like fully there yet, but I thought that was amazing too. Like you could like literally talk to people who really know what they're talking about when it comes to China, when it comes to Norway, when it comes to, whatever location. So
Yeah, they're
I
building an Encanto house there, is the rumor. Is
I heard that rumor. I did hear that rumor. Nothing has been like official.
right.
I think that Lin Manuel was the one who kind of pitched it, actually. I think, and I mean, you know me, I'm all for that.
Oh my gosh. How could that not be? I always thought it was weird that Coco wasn't more prevalent in Mexico.
Yeah,
That's like one of my favorite areas to go because I like margaritas.
yeah,
Spoiler alert. And yeah, I was always going, man, they need like Coco. I mean,
yeah.
it's a great movie. They do like the little thing in that pyramid deal, but it's kind of like it's an afterthought. You're like, oh, cool, Coco, but it's not Coco.
What they should do is retheme the ride that's in there to be Coco themed. I mean, I feel like they haven't done that because some people who are like the nostalgic people who are like, oh, you can't change that ride. Like, but more people would enjoy it. I think if it was
You got to
Coco.
upgrade.
I agree. I think they will eventually. I mean, it's outdated.
And the Encanto house would be
Oh yeah,
just insane.
it's so popular. Yeah, I mean, people would love it. So
I heard rumors that there's a second one or something, a spin-off they're thinking about doing, or I know the Lin-Manuel Miranda dude is trying to probably grow that.
I hope that they do. I hope that they do, but I have not heard it yet. But that would not surprise me. I mean, everything he touches is a blockbuster. Really.
Yeah, for sure. I forget the other one he did. Man, there was another movie he did that I was like, oh, this is good. It was an animated one. It was
I
about
know exactly what you're talking about. With like with the parrot. Was it the parrot?
something like that. It was in Cuba.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about, but it wasn't Disney.
It wasn't Disney. No, it's
It
it's
was.
like Pixar or something like that.
Yeah.
Is Pixar Disney?
Pixar is Disney. Yeah, like
So
they usually work in conjunction. So I don't know.
they
Who it
used
was.
to be separate though, right? I want to say
Yeah, like a long time ago. Like I feel like Toy Story might have been like the first animated film that they did together. And gosh, when
yeah.
was Toy Story? I think I was. How old was I when Toy Story?
I'm 41 now, so yeah, I was a
I'll be
kiddo.
here, and it was probably when I was in high school. Maybe I don't know.
Sounds right.
20 some years ago.
That's another great area, Toy Story.
Yes. Oh yes. I'm so glad that they built that in Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, especially a guy like you must love the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. I mean, surely, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really weird.
Yeah, I was the first time we went there. I can't tell people enough between Galaxy's Edge and Avatar
Yeah.
World or whatever you want to call it. Those two places are done like you are straight up in the movie, and Star Wars especially is better than any spot. I don't know. I think it's the best, most well done park to go to, other than Harry Potter, which is not attached to Disney. They do a really good job at Harry Potter. But let's keep it Disney here. It Star Wars, it just crushes it.
It's so immersive. I know you walk through that, like, you know what I'm talking about, that like section, like that like boulder looking section.
Yes.
And you are literally in a whole nother world. Like it is so very immersive. And like the characters that the cast members play it's incredible. Like how true to it that they are. Like they will not break character. Like they are from Batu and they are character.
Yeah, it's so and I kind of thought when we were going in there, I'm like, wow, the design's going to be great, this and that. Oh, it's probably going to be cool, but not like that cool. And then you see the Millennium Falcon and you're kind of like,
Well,
damn, this
yeah,
is nuts. Totally worth it. I hope they keep growing that. I always wish they would keep growing the areas, you know, like I went to Avengers area, and if you compare the Avengers area to Star Wars, it's like two different companies made them, because I was kind of let down by the Avengers area because like there's endless possibilities, and like this is what you did. Like the Spider-Man thing's cool. That Spider-Man ride is awesome.
yeah,
The flicking the web and all that
yeah.
thing, that ride's badass. But the area, you know, which people kind of, I think it's people underestimate that that's such a huge factor that Disney is really damn good at, is like the set design and making you feel like you're somewhere else.
That I so here's what I was impressed by the Avengers campus, by the characters that were all around. Like I don't know if you experienced that,
I
but
Thor and Loki I saw.
oh my goodness, like there was the character interaction I had there was phenomenal. But I totally agree. I remember thinking like I wouldn't even know that this was
Right.
superhero based if I just walked in here, you know, and like completely blind to it all. Like based off of what I'm looking at, like none of this makes me think that this is Avengers or superhero. So yeah, the set design that I think was lacking. But as far as what they did with some of like the experiences,
Yeah.
oh, and I loved Guardians of the Galaxy Breakout. I thought that
Tower
was
Galaxy.
yes, that was a trip. Oh
That's
my
a
god,
great ride.
yeah. I mean,
It feels a little bit more than Tower of Terror does.
oh, I mean, it's like
A few more times you be going up and down.
I mean, with Terror of Terror too, it's like there's like the whole part where you're just like kind of going slow and out.
Yeah.
But basically, with Guardians of the Galaxy Breakout, you're just going up and down. Like
We're going up and we're going down. We're going up.
and with the music and everything, it just felt like a big party. It felt like everybody was just screaming and laughing
Yeah.
the entire time.
Unless you have a 5-year-old.
Oh yeah.
Another ride she maybe it's just Guardians of the Galaxy she doesn't like.
Oh man.
Because she likes Tower of Terror.
Yeah.
She every time she's on there, she just ha 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 ha. This is so much fun.
She doesn't get scared by any of it.
Not on Tower of Terror, but on Guardians, there was something about it that kind of got her, you know, in her feels, and she was not liking it. And she's like, I don't want to do that again, Poppy. I'm like, okay, we won't do it again.
In time, she'll get back.
When you're in a year, you're gonna be like, yeah, let's do that one again. I'll be like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, you're like, let's do it. Okay.
Then I'll probably be old enough to be feeling everything, and I'll be like, oh, I can't do this anymore. My brain's like just all over the place. I feel sick or something.
Dramamine. You can't.
Yeah.
Right. Take some medicine.
Yeah. Don't anybody listen to this. Don't be going to Disney and not hopping on the rides.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You definitely need, if you're going to spend the money and it's your one time in a lifetime to go. It sucks, but I guess that's something we should have talked about before I let you go. Is the how do people make the lines faster?
Oh.
Do you handle that kind of stuff?
Well, so they used to have a fast pass system. If you've been using it before COVID, they had a fast pass system, which in my opinion was a whole lot more simple than it is currently. They have a Genie Plus system now, which is similar to Fast Pass. It does allow you to jump most of the lines and use a different line than what's the standby line. But sadly, it costs money, which is unfortunate. So, the best strategy on top of using Genie Plus, because Genie Plus is effective. It is effective. It just costs money, sadly. Is to really take advantage of like the early morning time, like the early morning hour, being an on-site guest so that you can get in early. And then honestly, like the later part of the day, lines will dwindle down significantly. And then even more so if if I know that you guys typically stay in some of the deluxe resorts. If you stay at a deluxe resort, you get those extra hours in Magic Kingdom and Epcot. Those are the best ways to do it.
The early rope drop deal.
Or to go during, a season that's not going to see holiday crowds, spring break crowds. Like that is so important if you want to have like the most optimal experiences, to try to plan it where you're avoiding some of those pieces. So like you can always jump into the app and see like what the wait times are. If we looked right now, I think
thank God they have that.
Yeah. Yes. But if you jumped in the app right now, because we're in January doesn't tend to be super, super crazy busy either. The wait times won't be astronomical, but as soon as we start getting into like the end of March and into April, especially because that's spring break season, you're gonna see an uptick, and it's gonna be a significant difference. But yeah, that's the best way to try to avoid the lines. Though you have to go into it knowing there are gonna be lines no matter what.
Yeah, you're gonna wait.
What?
Is there anything you'd change about Disney? Other than the cost, probably, which is,
I mean,
everyone wants to change that.
right, exactly. I do wish that for anybody who wanted to visit, it was within reach, and it can be, again, based off of the things that we talked about earlier. I think I would change probably like their line system. I did like Fast Pass a whole lot more. I really, really liked that people knew what to anticipate better. You could
Right.
your fast passes weeks in advance, so you knew what time you were going to be riding Thunder Mountain, or you knew what time you'd be riding Haunted Mansion. And now it's sort of a gamble. It's like, well, we'll just see what we pick up at what time. So it's a little harder to come up with an itinerary for the day. A lot of people want an itinerary for the day.
Yeah. And at least try to kind of stick to it.
Right, exactly.
If one thing gets messed up, you're going to go off the rails with that itinerary almost.
Like that's exactly what happens all the time. So when I'm prepping people that I work with, it's like, okay, so here is our ballpark itinerary, but you have to be flexible. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get in all the stuff that you want to get in.
You're just going to be pissed.
If you're on your list says Splash Mountain is next, but Splash Mountain has 100-minute wait, like, don't do that. Come back to a later point. So you just gotta be flexible. So yeah, I would go back to the former fast passes and we're come up with some other system.
Did that
100% would do this. Universal for their deluxe guests, Universal, when they have guests who stay in their premier resorts, they get the express passes for free.
Oh, that's badass.
And I totally think that Disney should do that for their deluxe guests, because they're paying a lot of money to stay at a deluxe resort. Like, that should be a bonus that they get. So there is no question, I think, that they should do what Universal does there. No
Hey,
question.
Bob, when you listen to this later, Bob, Mr. Iger, you need to listen to ALYSSA, because change the thing back. Little Universal's, taking the fast pass hit. Did that change when the Lightning Lane thing was going on? Was that with the old guard, or that was even when Bob Iger was there before?
Yeah, it's. I think it's ever since COVID, ever since COVID reopened, and they eventually brought Genie Plus, because Genie Plus was not something that they made available until, I'm trying to remember when. It was in early 2022. So it was when Chapek was there in place. And I don't see Iger changing it that much, at least not too soon.
Right.
You see him changing it eventually.
Because you can pay now per ride, right? To be like, boom, bumped up. Or is that the Genie thing?
So that Genie Plus will give you the ability to grab return times for the majority of the rides at different points. And then there's something called the individual Lightning Lane, which is only one per park right now. It's like the premium ride in each of the parks. So that's like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Flight of Passage, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. So you can pay a premium for that. Like, okay, I'm just going to throw $20 and we'll just grab the time that we want. So that's expensive.
One less margarita.
Yeah, I guess that's a way to look at it.
Yeah.
You're like one way to look at it. But then when you're talking about a family of four, suddenly that $20 is now $80. So
man, it is hard to comprehend.
Yeah, that's why getting to the park early is so important, because then you get to that ride before the lines really start, and then you don't have to pay for it. So
yeah, get your bucket list rides. Be like, all right, we must go to this ride first, and whatever we miss later, we miss it. But at least we got that one in.
Yeah. If there's one that you're dying for, if somebody's a huge Star Wars fan and you have to get on Rise of the Resistance, then make that the priority of the day so you don't miss it, right? So
yeah. Do you do anything with DVC stuff?
Unfortunately, we don't. We can get tickets for DVC members, if people are annual pass holders or something. A lot of DVC members are annual pass holders just because they frequent so much. But unfortunately, yeah, we can't book the DVC hotels for them. Really, the only thing we can do is tickets. So
have you ever thought about moving down there?
I mean, I got to talk to my husband about that. Yes. So that actually is my dream. If I was going to retire, it would probably be to be closer to Disney. My husband, because
I think you have sorry to interrupt you again. I think you have the vlogging ability to be doing. There's some blonde girl.
Molly. Yep.
Yes. Yep. My wife watches her videos all the time, and I think she just started her own deal with Patreon or something like that. And she does a good job. We actually saw her one day in the park, and it was kind of funny.
We did too.
I was like, oh wow, you actually are at the park. Okay, yeah. Hey, what's up? And she's like, hey, how's it going? And she's trying to do her thing, so I'm not trying to hey, how's Disney? And I was like, but I think you
actually, we were walking by her, and because we'd watched her YouTube videos, Emily was like, look, and I was like, oh my gosh. They got a picture together, and it was it was nice for her to meet her. So
If you moved there, would that be something you'd entertain doing?
yeah, for sure. I mean, so Molly used to work for a company called All Ears,
Yes.
Net, and so Molly has now started her own because she's so good at what she does. But before I became a travel agent, like I said, I was a freelance writer, and I was thinking to myself, like, gosh, I would love to write on Disney content. Like, I would love to write articles about Disney, but for the most part, they want you to live close by so that
Oh yeah.
so you can go to the parks and stuff. So would I like to live near Orlando so that I could like write about Disney and be like a blogger for Disney? Like that would be fantastic. I mean, if all you wanted me to like make videos for them, that sounds fun too. But
my wife asked the same thing. She's like, "What do you think about moving to Orlando?" I go, I don't know. But she wants to, she likes entertaining that idea as well. And I think, looking at your social media, which is Instagram is @DishingOnDisney. Before I let you go here. And email is smartmomalyssa@gmail.com. Both ways you can get in contact with her. I think it would be, you got to move to Orlando, which isn't bad.
no,
It's changed over the years. That's for sure. It's if anything, it's blowing up because of Disney, and Florida's a lot like Texas with the kind of rules, laws, etc. Not to get into all that, but it definitely has some freedoms there that, if Disney was in Chicago where my family lives, there'd be not much vlogging going on there. That's awesome to hear, because I think you would crush that.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. I mean, we'll see what happens down the road. Mike, my husband, and I, we both work from home now. My entire family is here in Charleston. We also love Charleston. I mean, Charleston's a great city to live in.
I've been there.
Yeah, we've been here
for 2
years. It's great.
Good beer there.
Yeah, there is a lot of beer here. It's true.
A lot of great beer there. Yep.
A lot of good food too. But yeah, it would be like making the decision to like leave where my family lives, and that's hard as well. So we'll see.
You've been there your life. You were in New Jersey, right? So
yeah, I was in New Jersey. I went to school at Penn State, so I lived in Pennsylvania for a little bit, and then moved to Virginia for 7 years. And then we moved down here to South Carolina. So I've kind of been like, boop, boop, boop.
Oof, Virginia.
Yeah, Arlington.
Not a fan of Virginia.
I enjoyed it while I was there. I mean, it was right outside Washington, D.C. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, D.C.'s a good spot to visit. If anybody's listening, that's a great little town. Little tiny place.
A fun city to be like living near when I was, my 20s, like early 20s. And yeah, I mean, no complaints except for when Mike and I eventually were ready to get married. This is like right around 2010, 2011, is just really expensive, like bonkers expensive. And, we would not have been able to afford a home.
Right.
His commute was like 45 minutes just to drive 4 or 5 miles. I mean, it was just,
Ooh.
the quality of life would not have been great. And then my parents retired to Charleston, and so that's what landed us here. So I was like, I'll move to Charleston. That sounds great.
Will your husband wear Disney ears?
No.
I'm the same way.
No.
My wife will be like, "Here, put these." I'm like, "Don't even do it. I'll wear the shirts. I'll match the shirts. I can do that all day."
He'll throw a shirt on for me. That's true, but he won't wear. That would be the day.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I do it for like 5 minutes for a picture, and I'd be like, "Take those things off of my head," and it would need to be the old school hat. It'd be the need to be that goofy plastic junky hat.
Yeah, the real ears that like most women wear the ears mostly. I mean,
yes.
I feel like there's very few masculine looking ears that you can wear. So it's
there's none. Yeah. Mickey is the only masculine ear wearer, I think, but he's also a mouse. So
right. Good point.
Well, it's been a pleasure, 100%. Thank you so much for taking time out of the insane Disney schedule for hopping on.
This is great. Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
And I wish you.
You're great to talk to.
No, thanks a lot. Yeah, I try to keep the nerves down quite a bit. I mean, you even made me cry. Damn it.
Ha.
But yeah, once again, I really appreciate it, and I wish you all the best in 2023. I know I'll be following, and I'd love to have you on again, sometime in the future.
Yeah, this has been great, and I hopefully we'll see you guys in the parks sometime maybe this year. That would be fantastic if our schedules lined up. So
yeah, that'd be awesome. We could have a margarita together, or ride Guardians of the Galaxy with my wife.
We could Instagram together.
Oh dang, yes, yeah.
You crying on Guardians of the Galaxy.
God, that's social media. I'll get it together here one day. But anyone listening to the show, like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. Tasty Brains Podcast on Twitter, Paulie Donuts on Twitter, Tasty Brains Podcast on IG. If you want to get in contact with Alyssa again, Dishing on Disney on IG, and then smartmomalyssa@gmail.com. And thanks again for listening.
Thank you.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye-bye.